Dinner for shoes, please.
I just wanted to let everyone know before watching this episode, I'm a podcasting newbie. So I, just like the last episode, was blurry for the first half. This episode, I cut off my head for like 90% of the shots. So I just want to apologize for that and let you know that we are getting a camera stand. We're going to work on the set. I'm going to get better at this. And yeah, just close your eyes if my head's cut off and listen to my voice, I guess. Enjoy.
Hello, welcome to the name of my podcast, which I just forgot. Dinner for Shoes, episode 3. This episode is called Wine, Wraps, and Runway Trends. You don't like wine. Do you not remember when you were a kitten and I literally made you smell tequila? Smell the tequila, hon. Smell it. Oh. She just smelled it. I didn't give it to her. I didn't tell her to drink it. Anyway, I'm like sweating already. I'm really canceling myself right within the first 5 minutes here. So anyway, Fashion Week has wrapped in New York at least, and this is the second of 2 Fashion Week videos that I'm making this season. This one though, so currently fashion is situated in Milan, meaning that the runway shows over there are going on, but the ones in New York have wrapped and the ones in London have wrapped. We still have a bunch in Paris. My favorite, actually, Miu Miu, that's my favorite brand, and they will show in Paris at the end, but we have gotten to a place where I feel confident enough to talk about some of the trends that I'm seeing that I love on the runway for the spring 2024 season. So right now it's fall 2023, I believe, yes. And basically what we're seeing on the runway as editors right now are the spring 2024 trends. So we're preparing. Of course, my outfit, what I'm eating and what I'm wearing all speak to those trends, which you will find out soon. And yeah, we're gonna dive in. So first of all, I tried so hard not to take a sip of this Sutter Home wine. It's Pinot Grigio. There's nothing like a condensation on the outside of a wine glass. My best friend Brooke taught me how to like make that happen just for aesthetics. You like really heat up the glass and then you like stir some, you throw some ice cubes in there and you kind of like go like this with your wrist. And everyone knows I shouldn't be touching glass because I had a horrible freak accident with glass. But anyway, I touched glass in order to just get the condensation just right on that glass. And then I poured in the Sutter Home. Anyway, why am I drinking Sutter Home Pinot Grigio? I don't even like wine. It just went with the wine wraps and runway trends. Well, the reason why I had that specific tiny little single bottle of wine is because my sister went to a bachelorette party probably 3 or 4 months ago now, and that was like a giveaway as part of the bachelorette party. And so she gave me it and she was like, I'm not gonna drink this, and it's been sitting in my fridge ever since. And I was like, you know what, let's engage in a glass of wine for my 3rd episode. So excited. And third time's the charm. And yeah, anyway, so let's start by talking about what I'm wearing and how it relates to the runway trends. Okay, and then we'll dive into the runway trends. We'll talk about my favorite looks of the season. We will have our wrap, which goes hand in hand, and we'll kind of review it, and it'll be great. Okay, so first of all, I guess I should just give it to you that one of the color trends, one of the overarching color trends on the runways for spring 2024 that we're seeing is this like bright scarlet red. Hence why I'm wearing these amazing cords from Zara. I love them. I love a little cropped boxy jacket. Actually, as I was putting it on, I thought to myself how much I love that I don't have to put on perfume or deodorant when I'm recording a podcast because you can't smell me. Only I can smell me. So I'm not wearing anything underneath this. And yeah, but it's actually pretty comfortable anyway, regardless. And it's got these like high-waisted tailored pants, which I love. You could also like tuck something into it. And it's the color of the spring 2024 season. So I thought, why not team it up with my Coachtopia cherry little shoulder bag, very 90s, very cool kid in the 90s-esque. And then I was sensing, and we'll get into this, but a bit of a return to classics on the runways for spring 2024. Specifically, I guess maybe I'm just like in the mood talking about this runway show specifically, but in Milan, the Gucci show just happened and there's a new designer there. We'll get into that, but essentially I felt like there was kind of like less of this like logo mania look all over the runway, and it was more this like return to classics, maybe in the name of quiet luxury, which everyone knows I'm into. So I chose to wear my Chanel slingbacks as the shoe du jour. And I also just felt like they would go really nice with a glass of wine. Also, hope you noticed that I put the polka dot plate on top of the black plate this time instead of vice versa. I don't know. But anyway, it also, I mean, the shoe just matches with my glass of wine and whatever. Love my Chanel slingbacks. They're a classic and they will be for life. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back on. And we will soon get to the food to fill my plate. But until then, let's talk a little bit about spring 2024 season, 2024. Yes. I also should mention that this episode is going to be the episode where I pronounce shit wrong. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm a fashion editor and I'm a writer. I am allowed to pronounce things wrong. I just have to spell them correctly. I would like to, it is a goal of mine to, as time goes on, perfect my pronunciation of certain designers' names. I don't want to pronounce anyone's name wrong. It's not, something that I strive to do, but this is just naturally a struggle of mine and it always has been. So when we're talking about different designers today and I'm showing you different runway looks, please forgive me if I don't pronounce everything correctly. You can make fun of me in the comments down there. Okay, so let's first jump in. Do you guys want to do colors first or do you want to do like trends first? You can't answer me. So let's just go into color since I already started talking about scarlet. How about that? Okay, so there's this bright scarlet red happening on the runways that I love. We will dive into those first. I chose 3 runway looks per color that I'm really noticing. And they happen to be my favorite examples of that color exhibited on the runway. So the first one that I chose right here is JW Anderson. I just loved this look. Okay, Dion Lee, we got some lingerie going on, but you've got the scarlet for sure. And Burberry, which I thought was a really great example and honestly kind of reminds me of my outfit that I'm wearing today. So that's that. And then another really prominent color, it was absolutely lilac. I'm wearing none of that today, but I love it. I love it. I have lilac on my bedspread. Anyway, I loved this Delcourt example of it. I thought that was so cool. That's an outfit I would totally wear. I really like it. I'm showing Phillip Lim. It was Phillip Lim's first time back on the runway in 4 years, I believe, showing at New York. There was just a break in the pandemic for that design team. And so that was really cool and everyone was excited for that show. And then we've got Coach. I thought this was such a cool example of it too. It's like you've got the black underwear going on, but then you've got like, the lilac overlay that you're kind of not expecting, but there it is. Like there's that pop of lilac again. And then what I really liked is that I couldn't deny the existence of 2 different green shades this season. And for that reason, I tried, and now I am a Beauty for Dummies beauty girl. I do not know how to do anything beauty related, but I tried to put 2 different shades of green eyeliner on my eye and wore limes in my ears. These little cuties are from Bobble Bar. I love them. They actually came with like a full tequila set with like salt and tequila and so cute. But anyway, I didn't wear the tequila because the reason why I wore the lime is because electric lime, I'm calling it electric lime at least, is another really big prominent color that we're seeing on the runway. So here I gave an example at Roberto Cavalli, Roxanda. That was just a cool look, a little costumey, but I love it, and Versace. And then that other shade of, I guess I'm calling it like an an olive gold, I would call it. I think this shade is so interesting. And there are kind of like different iterations of it all over the runways, but I'm showing it here. Some of my favorite examples were at Tom Ford, at Sergio Hudson. I thought that was a really cool dress. And then at Gucci. I also liked how at Gucci there were like those electric lime pumps to kind of cap it off and just like really drive my point home that there are two prominent shades of green for spring 2024. Thank you very much. Okay, so those were the most prominent colors, I would say. I think next we will move on to, well, next I will take a sip of wine. I think maybe like mid-trends we'll try the food. So let's move on to the different runway trends. Now, first we talked about colors. This is more like silhouettes, basically. So we're going to talk first about the sweater tie. Now, I've seen this on runways in seasons past, and I've always kind of like eyed it and I've been like to myself, like, oh, I see you there, little sweater tie situation going on. I love it. And it feels very 50s, but also very relaxed, but also very like, you don't need an extra accessory because of the dimension that this sweater adds to your outfit wherever you tie it. And I mostly saw it tied over the shoulders, but at the row, I really loved how there was just, you know, like a blazer tied around the model's waist. And I thought that was really cool. And it just shows that like that is part of living in your outfit. You know what I mean? However, this like sweater tie over the bust and it's part of the dress. So I just thought that was really cool. At Stowed, we've got a little set situation going on. Brandon Maxwell also made it seem really seamless the way that that sweater is just kind of draped over the shoulders there with the long skirt. And then I loved the yellow sweater at Fendi, tied kind of like nonchalantly, yet it almost seems purposeful. I just thought that was really cool. So I'm into that. That's a trend that I would absolutely partake in for sure. Okay, this next trend is a little less, it is wearables at some places, but I couldn't not call it out. I'm calling it the sculpt me trend, but really it's just sculptural dresses. Okay, so one place where I think it's really prominent that like any editor who went to the shows will remember this happening on the runway is at Tory Burch. These little mini dresses, these like cool mod mini dresses that kind of had like wiring in them in such a way that it seems like these dresses are like a work of art. I think that this sculpt trend really speaks to that. And I think it's kind of a way of saying like, hey, you know, this dress is more than just a dress. Like it's also a piece of art. I think that that is really cool, really unique. And I think that with some of these other looks that I'm going to show you, some of them feel less wearable, but then there are also some that are wearable, like at Rosie Asselin, which I love all the time. I love that collection. We've got this like kind of like sculptural skirt. It's kind of like a little skater skirt, but it's really built out in a way that makes the sheen pop a little bit when it catches the light. And then at Carolina Herrera, I mean, that little mini dress is just like, it's beautiful. And then we've got a little bit of the exaggerated version of it at JW Anderson, where you've got this like big skirt situation in front as part of the dress, which JW Anderson, like, I mean, that runway is always full of artful geometric shapes. So I think that that is just like unique to the DNA of the house, I would say. And then at Probable, I really liked these like sculptural kind of like side panels. And I kind of felt, so last season and for the past few seasons, and I guess everyone says this is because of Bridgerton and like Regency core, but we saw a lot of corsets, a lot of corsetry and a lot of like boning and all of that. So I think that this is kind of like taking that to the next level. And it's like, hey, we don't just need to be structured on our bodice, but like what about, you know, the skirt of this dress, right? So I just thought that was a cool trend to call out. Now let's take it to the tank dress. This is probably like the antidote to the sculptural dress because this dress is so wearable and it's the return of the simple tank dress. I love it. I don't know if I could pick a favorite here. I had so many that I loved. At Jason Wu, it had pockets. It had pockets actually on a lot of runways, but I really liked the texture at Jason Wu. 16 Arlington, that honestly might be my favorite. That crisp white with the pockets, really, really pretty with the tank silhouette. At Kate, it was kind of, it almost felt sporty to me, which I loved. Like I could wear that dress with a pair of sneakers, you know? I loved it at Gabriella Hearst too. I thought it was really cool with that fringe bag that kind of contrasts it. And at Tibby, it was great with the flats, which we're going to get into soon. Ballerina flats were everywhere, but I loved this little slit at Tibby too. I just thought that square neckline was also really chic and very quiet luxury, which we all know that I'm into right now. Ferragamo had this really pretty like taupe tan version of it on the runway. And then Altuzara, I've always been a fan of. And I thought this like crinkled silk was just really beautiful. There was like a boudoir-esque to it that I love. So I thought that was really chic. And I think this is probably the most quiet luxury of all the trends that I'm calling out. But I think that what's unique is that all of these simple tank dresses also came in like black, white, tan, and these colors that all, you know, they go with everything. So this is kind of like, to me, if you're going to invest in a dress for the spring summer 2024 season, let it be a simple basic tank dress. You will never go wrong. So that's my opinion there with the tank dress. Okay, I already alluded to them, so let's talk a little bit about the ballerina flats. Now, flats, I have like a love-hate relationship with flats because I have short, athletic legs and I don't feel like flats really do much for me, I think, in most situations. It's just something that I feel when I put them on. I'm just like, I don't feel like my legs look so good. But lately, with the different iterations of flats I've been trying, I'm really liking them again. And I'm just like, maybe it's because of the outfits that I'm wearing them with, or just like a tank midi dress or a maxi dress is so easy to wear with a flat. Like my legs aren't even visible, so I'm not going to be like feeling all weird. It's like, in a situation where I'm wearing jeans, for example, I don't want to wear them with flats. I would want a little heel or a boot to elevate a bit. But I love these different iterations of flats. So Phillip Lim, yet again, I loved that look. We've got a flat there. At Tibby, I specifically chose this look because of the scarlet red call out with the socks, because there it is, that pop of red again. And at Tibby, all of the flats were teamed with like a monochrome sock. And I just thought that was so cool. And like, Tibby is the coolest of the cool. I think I may have talked about that in my previous Fashion Week video. I just think that like Tibby really sets the standards for the trends. And it's just like, if you're gonna do a trend, if you're gonna pull off one of the trends that all the other designers are pulling it off, this is like the top of the tippity top here. I don't know, I just think it's cool. I would wear, my whole closet would be Tibby if I could. At Tory Burch, there were these cool like T-strap flats that felt very schoolgirl-esque. We saw them at Fendi as well. And then finally, most recently, at least when I'm recording this, at Versace, which I loved those metallic flats. Again, you've got like the Mary Jane strap over the top. Very schoolgirl, but still somehow sexy because it's Versace and Versace's always sexy. Like there's nothing not sexy about Versace. Let's talk a little bit about deconstructed denim. Now, deconstructed denim has been going on the runways for a while now. For seasons, really, we've seen different versions of deconstructed denim, but there were some really cool finishes on the denim this time that I think that I wanted to talk about. I loved how at Diesel almost takes denim and like the very idea of denim and like turns it on its head with this look, because you've got like the baggy jeans, which are very in right now, and they've got that like acid wash effect with the rips. And then really denim is just cotton. And so that like plunging wool cotton sweater that's just shredded to shit essentially is just like, hey, like we're denim too. Like, can we be denim too? Like we're all denim. I don't know what's going on with that look. I just liked it. I think it's strong and powerful. Would I wear it? I think I would look like, you know what I think I would look like? A car in like a pound that's been like beat up, but I would still wear it. But that's what I think I would look like. Okay. And Brandon Maxwell. Okay, Brandon Maxwell had these jeans didn't only come with like the silver foil finish, but also gold. And I thought both of them were really neat and awesome, and just like a cool add-on to denim, where denim is just kind of like it almost feels like an afterthought, because the focal point of those jeans is totally the metallics. At Jason Wu, I thought that was really cool. You had the little peplum. We don't see a lot of peplum very much anymore, but on that denim shirt. At Tibby, when I saw this look coming down the runway, I mean, the deconstructed kind of like reverse hem situation there, it's not very obvious. It's not this like crazy deconstructed denim situation where you're like, what is that? Which a lot of designers are putting out denim like that now. But with this oversized button-down shirt in pink with the ruffles, I just was getting like Julia Stiles in like Save the Last Dance / 10 Things I Hate About You, every 90s movie vibes from that. And I thought it was really cool. And then finally, I also wanted to call out Phillip Lim again. I feel like I think this is great for Phillip Lim, because I mean, haven't really talked about that runway in so long, and there it is. Yeah, I just thought that skirt was really neat, and like, who doesn't love a little classic denim jacket like that? So yeah, those are the prominent trends and the prominent colors on the spring summer 2024 runways. I would like to talk about my favorite looks and dive a little bit into that, but I am going to get my wrap so that we can wrap it up on Fashion Week. And obviously I'm going to talk about the wrap and why I have it, and it's a Caesar wrap with a breaded chicken cutlet, fried, not just like breaded, not just like a chicken cutlet, breaded with bread and then put it in my wrap. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm going to go get it. And yeah, we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got our wrap from Alessio's Cafe. Now, here's the deal with this wrap. So I love Caesar salad. I have like a newfound love for Caesar that I can't really explain. I think I talked about it in the Croatia video, where I had that one meal where I just didn't want authentic Croatian. I was like, give me Caesar salad. I'm kind of homesick for Caesar salad. Anyway, I noticed that Hoboken girl, who posts all about like the best places in Hoboken, like what's going on, events in Hoboken and all that, she posted that they're on a hunt for, well, it's actually two of them who run the account, but they're on the hunt for the best chicken Caesar wrap in Hoboken. I love tuna wraps. I don't get chicken Caesar wraps often because I love Caesar salad as a salad with a crouton. Now, this wrap reportedly doesn't have croutons in it, but it's breaded chicken. I am so fucking excited to try it. You have no idea. I will say that it feels like a burrito, but I know it's not. Okay. I don't need a fork and a knife for this. Set designer, why did you put it here? The set designer is me. Okay. All right. So obviously, like the wrap situation is just like, it's a wrap on Fashion Week. It's a wrap on my Fashion Week content for this season, but also like it's a wrap on my third episode. It's a wrap because it's a wrap. This all didn't go together, I guess, as well as I thought. But it's a wrap on the runway trends, really, because I'm deciding here and for myself and for you guys that this is what they are. And so that's a wrap. Anyway, we're going to talk about my favorite looks from Fashion Week. Now, these are not trends. These are just my favorite looks. And we're going to talk about why each one of them is my favorite look as we try the wrap. All right, let's get this wrap. Also, like, wraps and wine, like, yeah. I don't even like wine. All right. So this wrap it does look good, but it looks a little smaller than I thought it would be based on the content uploaded by Hoboken Girl. I need to try with a wrap where you have to try like every side of it to like make sure you get in all the contents in your mouth. There it is. I was waiting for the dressing, and it was kind of like hidden in there, but I got it. And let me tell you, that's a good chicken Caesar wrap. So it's not like a good, like crispy grilled chicken. It's definitely like a good chicken cutlet breaded wrap, but I like that. That is something I would order again. I will say, next time I order it, I will probably get sweet potato fries with it because I'm disappointed in the size. I thought that the size was going to be way bigger based on what Hoboken Girl had uploaded in their video, but I like it. It reminds me why I love Caesar salad and what could be bad about that. And speaking of, since Caesar salad is one of my favorites, let's talk about my favorite, Runway Trends. You're being such a good girl. You're being such a good girl. Okay. So, first let's talk about Rosie Asselin because, again, obsessed. Now, when I choose favorite runway looks and I put them into my favorites folder, I need to be clear about what that runway look evokes. When I see it, I'm like, oh my God, I need to be wearing that. That's like my thing. I need to be wearing that. That is what I say and what I use all the time when I'm talking about clothes that I love. I just see it. It could be a celebrity look. It could be a girl on the street. It could be a guy on the street. It could be a non-binary person on the street. It could be anyone. And I see their outfit and I'm just like, I need to be wearing that. Give it to me. Anyway, I loved this look. It was very surf culture-esque. It reminded me of Hilton Head, where my family vacations and where my parents now live, but also a little bit of like Folly Beach in South Carolina. It's just so cool. The blazer, that cool like applique on it. And then the pants are like a cool swim trunk turned pant with a little leg slit for your shoe moment. Oh my God. And I think I also just liked that girl's hair because my hair doesn't look like that and I wanted to. Moving on to Kate Spade. Okay. I don't know if anyone else has been feeling this way, but I feel like Kate Spade recently, the new Kate Spade New York team behind the designs, have been giving like old school J. Crew styling. And when I saw this look, I was just like, I want to be wearing all of that together. A baseball hat with my hair not done, but a pair of pearl drop earrings, this really cool tweed blazer, striped pants, this little white kitten heel, and an amazing bag with like a floral applique. You don't like human food. I know you don't, so stop pretending. Anyway, thought it was cool. I even think the pose is cool. I feel like I've posed like that before for things. So I just loved it. Altuzarra, I've always liked Altuzarra, and I think that, first of all, if you may notice the little electric green kitten heel situation, that little satin shoe going on, and it goes perfectly with this polka dot set. I just think that's so chic. It reminds me of something Carrie Bradshaw would wear, absolutely, and I'm like ashamed to say it because like everyone loves to hate Carrie, but I do like a lot of her outfits, and this is just one she would wear. Let's talk about Versace. Okay, so this Versace look. I feel like Donatella Versace, all of her runway shows, they are made, and I've never been to one of them. I would love to go to one of them. But I think when the models strut, she wants the audience and the guests who are there to feel empowered. And this outfit, it's all black, but it made me feel empowered just watching it on the runway. And I'm behind a computer screen. I love the bralette. I love a strapless anything. I do. I love a bandeau. I think the skirt over pants look is cool. Have I pulled it off? Have I worn it? No. But I think that's really cool. And then I like the little slip of leather. I mean, you've got the leather belt. You've got like the really cool structured leather handbag. And then you've got the leather mule. And I just think that that's really cool. I like the half up, half down hairstyle. It kind of reminds me of, oh, come here, my little big fat princess. I love you. I love you. I love you. Can you sit like a good girl, please? Thank you. Okay. So it reminds me of the half up, half down hairstyle. I used to wear that when I was a little girl. And like, I used to always say in the morning, I'd like run into my mom's room before preschool. I'd be like, Mom, can you put my hair half up, half down? And that's what that was called, the half up, half down. And she would always do it in a barrette and it would look really sleek and cool because that was way before I ruined my hair with way too much dye and stripping it and bleach. But anyway, I just love that empowering look. I think it's cool. And I've said the word cool probably 42 times in this video. All right. Now, Gucci. So Sabato De Sarno, that could be a name that I made. Sabato De Sarno. Sabato De Sarno. Sabato De Sarno. He made his Gucci debut for the label. So Alessandro Michel was the designer there before for many years and honestly was responsible for making Gucci like a huge commercialized deal. Like, I mean, he was on the Met Gala red carpet with so many celebrities wearing Gucci through the years. I mean, I think he made Gucci what it was for a while. But I was really excited when I saw this one look. I mean, aside, yes, there's the electric green again that I was talking about. But I would love it if Gucci returned to this sort of state where it is a little costume-like. You might be wearing something that's a little costumey, but at the end of the day, there's still that like luxe DNA that we appreciate Gucci for, where it is elevated, kind of 70s inspired. Like there is like Alessandro Michel, like a lot of the runway shows were very 70s inspired that he put out for that label. And I still see that in this like pooling denim pant. I think that's really cool. And I mean, you've got the signature Gucci colors, which like you're never gonna be able to disregard those Gucci colors. And you've still got a peek of them, but it's not too much and it just feels fun. And I hope that that's the direction that this fashion house now goes in. And I mean, I know Trish hopes it too, or else she wouldn't be up here pleading with me. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like it's hard to tell from just one collection the way like a fashion house is going to continue. But I think that's like the beauty of fashion. You never know what's going to come next, right? Just like you never know what's going to come next with my cats. Like one day or all of Trisha's, actually she's about to turn 5. So all of her 5 years, she doesn't like people food. And now all of a sudden she's very interested when mommy's recording a podcast. Okay. So those are my favorite 5 looks. It was very hard to narrow it down. To be completely honest with you, I had picked, when I put them all in the folder, there were like 11 of them. And I was like, how the fuck do I narrow this down? But I did it. And those are definitely my favorite of Fashion Week. I hope that you agreed with me. If you didn't, that's okay. And I may do another Fashion Week if I feel really strongly about some of the shows that happen in Paris. I may do another Fashion Week video. I don't know. I may finish this one or I may not because it's kind of bad. And I definitely will finish this wrap. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Dinner for Shoes. Like, subscribe, watch this again, send it to your friends. Rock on.